And now, Partnerships IPT efforts.
All right, well, welcome to all of our university and industry partners and representatives. We are glad you decided to join us in this session focused on the S&T strategy, partnering and presence, and learning about the ways we're moving out differently to engage and leverage and expand upon the excellence of our university and industry partners. My name is Brian McGilton. I'm the lead for the Partnering and Presence IPT and technical director for the Plans and Programs Directorate here at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base headquarters AFRL. Joining me today in this presentation is Mr. Giovanni Pagan, who is the acting branch chief for our domestic partnering branch for the Partnering Division of Plans and Programs Directorate. Together, we'll be covering aspects of the work we have been conducting in our planning through our Partnering Presence IPT as well as our Partnering Division. So just a little context with regards to this update that we're going to be presenting to you today. If you're familiar with the S&T strategy, you will recall that the strategy is broken into 3 objectives. We will be focusing on aspects of Objective 3 today, which is titled Deepening and Expanding the S&T, the Scientific and Technical Enterprise, but more specifically on driving innovation through partnerships. And I'll also be calling out next slide just so you folks are aware where we're at in the presentation as well. So next slide. All right, key partnering themes from the S&T strategy. So for those that are familiar with the Air and Space Force's S&T strategy, you'll recall that the strategy speaks to the vast shift of technological innovation, which has shifted primarily from the DoD to the national and international S&T ecosystems. The strategy reinforces the importance of the Air and Space Force's need to deepen and expand its engagement within this ecosystem in order to maintain and accelerate technology and increase our advantage over our adversaries. In addition, the strategy acknowledges the great work the Air Force S&T Laboratory is currently doing with its university, industry, and government partners, and it's not stating that we're doing things wrong, but due to the continual explosion of tech innovation occurring across our country and globally, we need to strategically and synergistically do more across existing and new partnering opportunities to better leverage this innovation. So some of the key themes related to partnering within the global ecosystem are identified on this slide, which comes directly out of the S&T strategy, out of Objective 3. Again, it's about deepening and expanding our relationships, both nationally and globally, being better connected to the innovative ecosystems. A little bit later, I believe today in the schedule for Impact Week, you will be meeting Ms. Elizabeth Escamilla, who is the lead for the Air Force S&T Front Door. In that, you will learn more about how we have purposely established ourselves to be better connected to you outside the gates, so that if you have ideas or solutions, how do you reach us? How do you connect with our SMEs? How do you engage with us in ways that have been maybe a little bit more difficult in the past, but made easier through this virtual front door? So you hear more about that. It's also about being physically present within these ecosystems. Again, the strategy talks about having side-by-side collaboration with S&T innovators working in innovation hotspots, both nationally and across the globe. And so you'll be hearing a little bit more about how we plan on doing that as well later in this presentation. And again, it's really leveraging more and establishing new partnerships and strengthening existing ones that we have with our industry, university, and government innovators. So while this may appear to be all about tech acceleration and transition and transfer, there are other aspects of the S&T strategy partnering which integrate with workforce development and recruiting strategies, all of which help drive and position ourselves to be both strong internally and strong externally as an S&T workforce. Responding to the call of action. I believe you've seen this slide in an earlier presentation, or you will be seeing this slide in a later presentation. But really the point that I want to make is the opportunities that we evolve from how we are changing, both from a transformational perspective to do new business processes, to portfolio realignments. These will all be driven and supported through how well we engage and leverage and expand science and technology through our ability to partner with universities and industries, both deeper and broader. Global partnerships, which is our next slide. So again, AFRL partnering is about tapping into, it's about shaping and leveraging and teaming with global innovators, academia, both large and small, industries, large, medium, small, new starts, non-traditionals, and other government laboratories to accelerate S&T into solutions addressing national security challenges, both for our current needs as well as for the future needs of our Air Force warfighters. Next slide. So now we are on the slide titled Core Technical Competencies. This chart, for those of you not familiar with the Air Force S&T Laboratory, is to illustrate both the breadth and depth of our technical directorates, which are focused around core technical competencies. This chart may convey that we operate in cylinders of excellence, and for those of you that are familiar with the laboratory over the years, there's probably a little bit of truth to that. But we as an enterprise laboratory realize this is limited thinking, and that we have been and are continuing to expand on multidisciplinary collaboration and integration efforts across our laboratory and with our partners. This is another significant change we are making as an enterprise. Next slide. So these are our partnering upgrades, updates, concepts, and futures. And this chart is really to highlight a few examples of areas we have been addressing or engaging in as an enterprise as it relates to new partnering and presence activities. So I'm going to go through these in a little bit more detail just to share with you some insights of what we're doing. So AFWERX. Many of you are probably aware that AFWERX is now part of AFRL. And as such, we are looking at ways that we can not only leverage and expand upon our expertise, but we're also looking at opportunities to partner more broadly and deeply within our large industrial network and other ecosystems. This is really about bridging what we do here in AFRL with our S&T work, through our 6.1, through our 6.3, and coupling it and linking it and integrating it with what AFWERX focuses more on operational concepts related to capabilities and technologies that exist out in the commercial marketplace. So how do we synergistically couple these together and have more of a strategic approach is one of the big activities that we're going to be doing with AFWERX now that it's really part and being embedded in with AFRL. Expanded presence. The S&T strategy calls us to be present physically with innovation hotspots across the globe. We are currently designing now 2 concepts of pilot and approach to expand presence, where we'll have actual Air Force S&Es physically working alongside other S&Es in university or industry settings on collaborative Air Force S&T projects. This experiment really intends to build upon tech acceleration opportunities for both transition and transfer with our academic, industry, and government partners, but it also is focusing on branding, informing the ecosystem of AFRL and how to work with us. You could really look at this as a physical extension of the S&T front door or the virtual front door. It's also about enabling workforce development opportunities for our SMEs. And finally, about being able to identify and capture top talent that we either want to work with externally or that we may want to recruit in the future to continue to maintain that strong pipeline of workforce within AFRL. But this also has a reciprocal benefit as well, in that it not only enables opportunities for us to connect with you in your environments, but it also brings us closer to you in order to connect and work with us. Space Force. With the stand-up of the Space Force and AFRL as the S&T supporting structure for that force, our mission organizations are busy looking at ways that we can better integrate and support their needs. This will ultimately rely on new partnering approaches to focus on Space Force needs. You could think of this as maybe additional consortiums, maybe potential other centers of excellence, or other partnering opportunities that will not only leverage the expertise, but also expand upon our reliance of university and industry partners across the board. Commercial influence on tech solutions. One of the areas we are piloting is leveraging the expertise of a venture capitalist firm to determine potential commercialization paths for our post and pre-intellectual property. With respect to pre-IP, some of the work will be identifying methodologies which could really influence how we prioritize our S&T. If indeed it has dual paths, such as a transition path and a transfer path, how might that affect our decision making? So these are some of the things that we'll be looking at through this pilot, which should be concluding sometime near mid 2021, and we'll have more information on that to share with all of our partners as we learn more about that pilot. One of the other areas we're looking at, and really this is an idea that we're looking at, is called Joint Faculty Program. Under this program, we are able to hire outstanding faculty members as government employees. They're called special government employees for a temporary time period, which is usually about under 130 days is the max, and is renewable on an annual basis. Faculty members still maintain their position and pay within the university, but in addition, will be able to work for the military, receive military pay and benefits such as retirement, vacation and sick leave, federal holidays, and telework opportunities. This program is looking to provide the government with external S&T expertise inside or outside of the gates. And it also provides selected faculty an outstanding opportunity to further advance their research and couple with Air Force related research towards future solutions and capabilities. Again, this is an idea we're looking at. We are currently in the initial areas of maybe the design is out and seeing if it's something that is feasible and is going to be really useful to the Air Force. But again, these are some of the things that we have been looking at through a Partnering and Presence IPT. Next slide. So this chart is titled Programs, Scholarships, and Fellowships. Even though we're striving to do things differently, we're not throwing away effective approaches to engage and collaborate. We are just morphing these into more agile ways in order to meet the evolving S&T needs. So on this chart, you see a list of academic engagement outreach programs that have and will continue to provide high value to AFRL technical directorates, as well as student faculty members abroad. We recently conducted an assessment of many of these programs that we administer here at AFRL, more specifically some of those that are administered at AFOSR, which are included on this list. We reached out both to external and internal alumni who participated in these programs, and the overwhelming response from alumni was extremely positive. Many stated that these were some of the best programs they have ever encountered. They provided them rich insights into Air Force laboratory environments, S&T challenges, and enable greater understanding of how the research work they may conduct in the future can ultimately provide solutions to Air Force challenges. For our internal S&Es who participated in some of the exchange programs, these brought newer perspectives regarding the innovation occurring within our external ecosystems, both within university and industry settings, to further enhance their approach to S&T elaboration within the laboratory. So these benefit not only the Air Force, but our university and partners of the future as well. As these folks transition possibly into new faculty positions, or maybe transition into industry for other jobs to further advance their career, the insights and knowledge gained through these programs will also benefit the university or company that these individuals end up working with. Next slide. So our AFRL website, for those of you who are not familiar with the afresearchlab.com website, there's a lot of new information being made available to all those we engage with external to our gates. We are creating a universe where we want to join these external partners together to establish synergy in order to create crosstalk opportunities between universities, industries, and government laboratories, enabling more agility to accomplish the time, space, and complexity of the S&T strategy. So if you haven't had an opportunity to check out this website, please do. For universities, you will find more information related to the programs contained on the earlier slide, such as timelines. When's the open timeline to apply for these? What are the applicant requirements? And who are the POCs that you can reach out to get more information? For our industry folks, this contains a wealth of information related to upcoming engagement events between government and industry, information on upcoming cyber STR activities, and even those that are new or have not or would like to work with the government. The site provides helpful information on how to get connected and get engaged. So again, I would really encourage you to visit this site to see the breadth of information that has been purposely provided out to all of our external partners and future partners to better inform, to better connect what we do here at AFRL Research and how you can become a partner and how you can engage with us. Next slide. So what's new? So prior to and during our strategic development of the S&T strategy for the Air Force and the Space Force, AFRL was already moving out with strategic partnering approaches. The chart above identifies a number of some of these activities, some of which you may have heard of earlier today or may hear about further through Impact Week. But the point is, AFRL is strategically moving out with expanded engagement with our academia, industry, government, and international partners. But before we transition, I'd just like to highlight a few of these programs, and I'll start in the upper left-hand corner of this slide and work my way around clockwise down to industry. So starting in the upper left-hand corner, we have the National Science Foundation, NSF. For those of you who are not familiar, this is an independent agency of the United States government which supports fundamental research in areas of science and engineering. AFRL has formed a partnership with NSF over the last 2 years and is currently expanding upon this partnership with this most recent agreement to leverage the NSF internship program. Under this program, AFRL can leverage NSF awarded principal investigators, or PIs, whose work aligns with AFRL areas of interest. This additional award to a selected PI further expands the research in Air Force and/or Space Force application and potentially influences new opportunities for academia and industry partners. The next I'd like to highlight underneath the government section there is the Tri-Services Commander Sync. And this is a little more informative. This is a government-to-government event which focuses on identifying, creating synergies across the joint laboratories in areas of science and technology. This is an activity which identifies existing research and leveraging opportunities between the laboratories, and it also identifies future research work for collaborative endeavors. These joint endeavors ultimately look at leveraging investments, partnerships, and expertise to further accelerate S&T needs towards military application. So again, through this collaboration between our joint services is going to open up other opportunities where we can either leverage existing partnerships that maybe our joint services already have that we can couple onto, or it may create some new partnerships for the future for both our academia and industry partners. Next, down in the international allies, I'd like to touch a little bit on the short-term exchange program. This is a pilot which falls underneath the Engineer and Scientist Exchange Program, ESEP, which is an exchange program to promote international cooperation in military research, development, test, and evaluation. Under ESEP, S&Es generally have a 2-year international commitment, which means they have to pick up their family in homestead. This can limit the opportunity space for our SMEs and our international partners. Therefore, underneath the short-term exchange program pilot, we have established 6-month TDYs with a rotating group of SMEs to enable A, greater participation and experience without the 2-year commitment underneath the traditional ESEP. Why does this matter to our university and industry partners? As these SMEs are cycling back into the laboratory with a broadened acumen in specific areas of S&T, it will influence new opportunities to further expand international partnering, which also means expanded partnering opportunities with our domestic universities and industries. And lastly, in the lower section titled Industry, I'd like to touch on the IR&D partnerships. But since I have Mr. Giovanni Pagan on the line, I'd like to turn this portion of the briefing over to him to share some important updates and insights and happenings within IR&D. So Gio, if you're still on the line, over to you, please.
Thanks, Brian. I am. Welcome, everyone. Like Brian said, my name is Giovanni Pagan. I am currently the acting branch chief for domestic partnering branch in the partnering division of the Plans and Programs Directorate. But in my day-to-day job, I am the Department of the Air Force program manager for the Independent Research and Development Program, or IR&D program. For some of you, this might be a new term, so I'd like to level a little bit the playing field and understanding of the term across the board. For those that already know, please bear with me a little bit. Independent research and development, or IR&D, is all of your company's internally funded research, and specifically that research that is of potential interest to the Department of Defense. It is this research, and by its very nature, the research that you would normally call intellectual property or trade secret, its very nature being close hold to you, that we in the Department of Defense are interested in finding out what it is and understanding what your new capabilities are, and we'd like to be able to access and talk to you about. So now that we all have a common understanding of what R&D stands for and what it means for the Department of Defense, let's talk a little bit about what the Air Force's R&D program has as its mission and purpose. So our Air Force R&D Program Office intends to increase the Department of Defense's understanding and awareness of the state-of-the-art capabilities in the defense industrial base, and specifically, of course, in the R&D portfolio, in your R&D portfolios. In the same vein, we also want to make sure that you, as the defense industrial base members, have a good understanding and are aware of our needs and requirements in the S&T arena. And then all of this is done with the hopes that we can indeed speed up the S&T acquisition for the Department of Defense and the Air Force specifically. So how is this done? Well, our office generates opportunities for DoD to leverage and influence as much as we can the R&D investment that industry pursues. And we do this by promoting government to industry information exchanges and focus those exchanges specifically to Department of the Air Force Service Corps functions, or Department of Defense communities of interest, or the defense modernization priorities. So as you can see, primarily the mission for this program is to make sure that industry is aware of what we need and we are aware of what industry is capable of doing. Next slide. So what are these opportunities and what do they look like? Well, traditionally, maybe till March of this year, they would have been a face-to-face engagement between industry and government subject matter experts. And it would provide an opportunity for in-depth discussion and presentations of industry capabilities and government needs. We traditionally invite companies to present their R&D portfolio efforts that address particular technologies or capabilities that are of high interest to the Department of Defense and the Department of the Air Force. For example, here's a list of our 2021 ops tempo and plan engagements with industry across a suite of technical capabilities that we're very interested in advancing across the Air Force and the Department of Defense. I want to highlight a few of these and also make mention that we have been adjusting to this tempo. The tempo has been adjusting because of this COVID reality we live in today. All our 2020 ops, 2020 events were affected starting March and continue to be affected. So they have been moved over to 2021. And as you can see, we're sort of double teaming on many of these, or double booking on many of these months for next year. We traditionally and normally announce these events through Beta SAM, the website that has replaced the FedBizOp or FBO, Federal Business Opportunities website. But we also take it upon ourselves to send out courtesy emails to folks that have expressed at one point or another interest in any of these events or have participated in previous events with us. I invite you to use me as a conduit to reach out to the team to express interest for any and every one of these events if you are so interested and your company would be interested in participating. Next chart. I'd like to talk now about a few selected items on the list, just pretty much randomly, if you will. The first one is the C4ISR, Command Control Communication, Computer and Cyber event, which is currently accepting nominations from industry that are interested in presenting R&D efforts that are of interest to this community. I'd like to direct you to the URL highlighted there for additional details on the topics and technologies of interest to the Department of Defense and the Air Force specifically. The next item is the Strategic Development and Experimentation event, which is going to happen in April 2021. This event is intended to inform industry of the Department of Defense's, Department of the Air Force strategic direction, priorities, and challenges in many technical areas that are relevant to our current and future department's capabilities, technology roadmaps, future acquisition funding streams, and allowed the opportunity to seek industry feedback on potential solutions to these challenges and priorities. The third event in this slide talks about our Tri-Community of Interest IR&D event, which is centering around technologies of interest to the human systems community of interest, the Armed Services Biomedical Research, Evaluation, and Management, or ASBRAN community of interest, and the biotechnology community of interest. Fourth in the lineup is the Personnel Recovery Service Core Function IR&D event. And just as the name implies, it is targeting those technology areas of interest to those scientists and engineers responsible for developing the technologies to aid in the recovery of personnel behind enemy lines. Keep in mind that in spite of the COVID setbacks that we've suffered and are suffering in 2020, these events will have a plan B approach, which is a virtual approach. We are adapting as we go through the calendar and through these events. And although we originally planned for face-to-face engagements, we will also allow for virtual engagements. Feel free to reach out and contact myself or any one of those emails on the list for expression of interest and for any additional information that you might need or want to pursue. Now I'll hand it over to Brian to continue our presentation. Over to you, Brian.
All right, well, thank you, Gio, for providing background on IR&D, where we're at with it today in light of the COVID situation. And I guess that's one of the things that we wanted to highlight also, or have just a little bit of discussion on, is the fact that we understand COVID has kind of upset the apple cart in a number of ways across the nation, across the globe. But here with an AFRL, research must continue. We must meet the needs and the demands of both our current Air Force as well as the future Air Force warfighter. And so with an AFRL, we have made the necessary adjustments, such as teleworking, looking at different ways to scheduling time within our laboratories, juggling schedules in order to keep the needle moving forward with regards to tech collaboration, and the development of solutions and capabilities for the future. And so we understand that COVID has certainly had an impact both on our university partners and our industry partners and our future partners as well. And so we encourage you to not lose hope in all things here. We are still moving forward, and we're looking to work and adjust whatever we need to adjust necessary in order to work with all of our partners in order for us all to be working together as teams and moving S&T forward in the direction we need for the future of the Air Force. So with that, we have reached the end of our presentation. We are now transitioning to a time of Q&A. And I think the way the approach is going with an impact is that I will start getting some Q&A, I believe, through chat. So I'd just like to open the floor to you all, to all those who have attended the session, to ask us any questions you have with regards to the information we provided, or if there's other information you would like to have answers to. Certainly, if we cannot address a question during this time, we are recording all the Q&A, and so we will certainly get back with you as expedient as we can to give you the information that you're seeking. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to our administrators that are facilitating this and start the Q&A. Okay, I have one question. Uh, okay. Um, I guess what I'm getting right now is that this presentation doesn't have a Q&A. Okay, so Gio, I guess there were some things that you wanted to possibly address from an IR&D perspective with regards to COVID impacts upon our industry partners. So I'll turn it over to you just to raise that question to see if we can get any feedback from the audience on that.
Thanks a lot, Brian. Yes, our interest was maybe to gauge industries or the effect that this current COVID pandemic has had on industries, IR&D investment specifically, which is the area that I'm mostly invested in, and wanted to see if there was any opportunity for industry to provide any inputs to that effect, how it has affected either your strategic planning or your connections with the Department of Defense and with defense subject matter experts to try to plan out your roadmaps or your strategy of IR&D investment. Over.
And Gio, if I understand correctly from our facilitator, that we may not be able to get any feedback from the audience. So again, great question. Maybe this is something that we can receive some feedback through other means that they can send to WBI for Impact Week, and that we can learn about that and maybe respond back to maybe any other questions they have. I guess maybe at the time, Gio, maybe what we can do is we can talk a little bit more about what is occurring, with regards to partnering, where we've been, what we're doing from an IPT perspective. And I guess one of the big points that I want to make with regards to what you're hearing across Impact Week, especially as it relates to the S&T strategy, is that we have not been conducting these, what we call our independent product teams, where we're actually taking specific areas of the S&T strategy and working on it within groups. This has really been an integrated effort across all the objectives, Objective 1, Objective 2, and Objective 3 of the S&T strategy. More so Objective 1 and Objective 3, and I won't really touch on Objective 2 right now. But if you look at what the Transformational Capability Office is doing with regards to developing and delivering transformational capabilities, if you really think about that a little bit further, all that hinges on the expertise and our ability to connect better with the external S&T ecosystem. It's you guys who are out there, the innovators that are coming up with new emerging areas of science and technology that we need to latch onto, and that we need to see how we can incorporate and integrate into our portfolios to help us accelerate tech transition, or to help us foster greater opportunities for tech transfer back into the commercial area for us potentially to later consume at a later time. But again, it's all about the integration of what we're doing across the S&T strategy, both from a transformational capability perspective, as well as our partnering, as well as the workforce development enhancements that we're doing across the enterprise. And we have a number of those that are equipping our internal workforce to be stronger, better, in what we do. And we're learning a lot of this from capturing industry and academia best practices, even from our other government organizations. If you look at the S&T strategy from its inception back in 2017, one of the first things we did was we conducted basically outreach activities where we not only engaged with SMEs across the globe through what we call ideation events at some university campuses, but we also conducted one-on-one and some group surveys and workshops with industry and academia and other government leaders. And through all this, we identified a number of areas that we found that were opportunities for us to learn, potentially evolve our processes and our organizational possible structures on how we better support the S&T that we do internally within AFRL, but more specifically, how do we better connect and engage with these external S&T ecosystems globally. A lot of great information was captured through those. We had a lot of great dialogue through our technology ideation sessions with universities. One of the biggest things that we found out through this was that as we went across the United States into different pockets across the S&T ecosystem, we found that AFRL is not a known commodity as much as we would like to think we are. And so, again, that is another area that we're really focusing on, is getting ourselves known out there. There's a lot of untapped expertise, both in the industry and academia sectors, that we need to better connect to and better leverage. And a big part of what we're going to be doing through our implementation of S&T strategy, and you're going to hear it a little bit later with Elizabeth Escamilla as she starts talking about the S&T front door, is making it easier for us to connect. And that's going to be a big part of what she's going to be talking to you about later on today. But from a partnering perspective, it's really about being more present and being more actively engaged, working side by side so we can learn from you, but more importantly, that you can learn from us what really drives our needs. What are those challenges that we have as an Air Force, and more specifically, what are those S&T needs that we have to address, not only support the Air Force, but also to address and support the Space Force and its continuance. So, Gio, those are just some insights that I wanted to share with the audience with the remaining time that we have left. Is there anything that you wanted to share, maybe from your perspective of domestic partnering?
So more so from a domestic partnering and even more in the R&D arena, the communication channel is something that we still continue to pursue, not only for the newcomers, but even for the experienced performers and experienced, what we call customers or companies that come over to engage with us through the R&D community. As we expand our focus of awareness and try to expand the participation of all our industry partners, newcomers come in and start to understand how our subject matter experts and across the Department of Defense start to pursue and attack or address specific technology areas and capabilities that our DoD, that our warfighter is interested in. It is those specific portfolios within the different companies that we like to target in the R&D program. We definitely are very interested in what industry is doing on their own, treading new ground, treading new areas, and much like the venture capitalists out in the commercial industry, our defense companies invest their R&D budgets to pursue these new business product lines or new technologies that might provide a very productive and successful for our warfighter. It is those specific areas that we pursue and continually, year through year, revisit our technologists and our acquirers and our warfighters and query them on what is the next thing that you would like to solve? What is that next problem? What's that next itch that you need to scratch? And that's what our team here in the Air Force Research Laboratory for the Department of the Air Force continually is searching through. I foot stomp and underscore that I make myself available to any one of you for further R&D conversations or discussions on what is R&D, what it means to you, what it can do for you, and what is it that DoD is interested in pursuing? What is it that the Department of Defense is interested in pursuing when we engage with the communities in the different technical capability areas that we visit year to year? We tend to pursue these events much like our Ops Tempo demonstrated, month to month, and continue through the year, and we'll continue to do so until told otherwise, pretty much. So please feel free to reach out to us, to me specifically on R&D, but to both of us on any of these topics that you've heard today. and see how we can further this discussion and conversation and provide as much guidance and feedback as you would need. My question about your portfolio health as defense industry is one that we would like to know. And if you'd like to talk to us about it, I'm more than happy to make my email and phone line available to you so that our team can hear straight from you how this has affected your research strategies and developments, and us be able to understand what the capabilities are across the board.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gio. I don't know if earlier in the presentation today you heard from our leadership with regards to the implementation of the S&P strategy. But if not, I just wanted to reinforce the fact that the S&T strategy, the implementation of S&T strategy is our commander's #1 priority for AFRL. Matter of fact, it's one of the top for General Bunch. And so with that being said, we are being challenged to accelerate S&T implementation across all aspects that we have control over with regards to Objective 1, Objective 3, and maybe some components of Objective 2 as well. So there's a lot of activities going on, and I guess one of the things that we are trying to be very cognizant of as an enterprise is that we are an innovative enterprise. Every one of our SMEs that we have here in AFRL are innovators. We have innovative organizations, and because of that, we are constantly going out trying to do new things to better reach, to better connect, to better leverage S&T that is occurring outside our gates. And we have a number of activities that have been going on for quite some time, and since 2017 with the tasking that we received from the SECAF, SECAF Wilson was to conduct our study on S&T and develop a strategy. We still have a lot of activities that are out there, but it's not that the fact that we have all these activities, it's that we need to strategically look at those and how do we better synergize across those activities so we don't have so many things going on that we lose control, but that we have a controlled focus on how we really want to engage and interact with our academia, industry, and government partners. And I'll tell you, that's the top thing on our mind right now is how do we become more efficient and more effective with our external engagements. And that's what's driving our partnering and presence portion of S&T strategy. That's a lot what's driving a lot of the initiatives and a lot of strategic focus that's being applied in our workforce development and our human capital strategy. And it's a lot of what's driving what's occurring on the Transformational Capability Office side of the house as well. So with that, I just want to just reinforce the fact that we are taking this seriously. This is not something that's going to die on the vine. This is here. It's going to stay. It is a top priority. It's being monitored, tracked. We're being held accountable. And so you will continue to hear more and more updates as to different implementations that we're doing across the enterprise to better involve our partners external of our gates. So with that, Gio, is there anything else that you wanted to share with the audience before we say we're done for this presentation?
Yeah, no, I think we've covered everything we wanted to discuss and provided as much as we can. Also, make ourselves available. I'll keep repeating that. That's work for all engagements, and I still like to keep that as an option for our attendees today.
Absolutely. I would, again, I'll provide my name out as well if you'd like to get more insights into what we're doing from a partnering presence perspective. Please reach out to me. Again, I think the big point of contact and the interface that we would really encourage you all to utilize is our Air Force S&T front door, which you'll hear more about from Ms. Elizabeth Escamilla later on today. That is the big thing that we'll be rolling out to give our external S&T partners access connectivity to us. But again, please feel free if you have questions, please reach out to me as well. I would give you our S&T implementation lead's name, but I'm not so sure they're ready to get inundated with emails. So I'll take the brunt of that and do the best I can to respond. I'm sure Gio will as well. But again, we thank you all for being part of this presentation today. If there's, again, any questions, please submit those into WBI and they'll make sure they get those to us in proper time. Thank you again.